Hello and welcome. We are in week 6. And I did not make a fancy slideshow. I was telling Michelle, I think that's that's the beginning journey. This is when we start getting just into the talking and getting into the living. um Check in. How did you do with morning pages and artist dates and all that fun stuff?
I haven't done great. I have not been doing great with either
Okay.
at the moment. Yeah, I've just been having a lot of I'm having autoimmune issues, so it's similar, and I'm just exhausted all the time. So it's like I don't want to get up early and do artist pages. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to go to sleep. So
Yep.
maybe taking myself on a nap has been
Yes, there is something magical about a good old nap.
exactly.
Uh,
And
um,
allowing myself that space, I think, it has actually been very nourishing. But in terms of my goals, not reaching them.
that's okay. I think the thing about like anything with any kind of healing journey, right, is about setting the intent. Like I always say, it's about intention and not
Mm.
perfection. Because, when we're doing this healing work, so much is happening that we can't even see or know. Like just the intention of being here and, setting that we set that this is the week of abundance in week
Mm.
6, and I feel like my life has kind of matched that in some ways. And so it's like, even if we're not necessarily doing all the homework or the stuff, the intention is there and spirit is guiding us. And that's the beautiful part about stuff like this. It's just being able to have, and I love being able to have a circle like the Zooms where we can connect in with each other and kind of have that reflection to say
Mm.
like, you're okay, you're doing good,
Well,
this is the intention. And this is, did you feel in like any synchronicities in terms of recovering a sense of abundance?
absolutely. It's funny. I didn't even think of that until you mentioned it. I'm starting a Reiki 1 class this weekend, and I had 3 more people sign up this week, just out of the
Wow.
blue, because it got delayed a week because of just some technical stuff. And so I was like, I reoffered it one more time, and I got 3 more people who are like really soul aligned people. I'm like so
Nice.
excited. I do in-home dog boarding as my other side gig, and we just got a call today about somebody who wants to, bring both dogs, 2 dogs to us for a couple of weeks. So I mean, yeah, there's things are flowing,
Yeah.
but the Reiki students was really unexpected because I thought we were already going to be have begun, and
And I love that when universe does that, because I really feel like sometimes we think things are being derailed or they're not happening,
hmm,
but really spirit is just trying to line up
yeah.
all, because you know we see our lives from these little perspectives, and these often have blinders in all the time, right? But spirit sees this big cosmic perspective, and so they're constantly lining and realigning all the different players into our lives, which I just think is magical. And there was this, I have to tell the story because it's one of my favorite stories. It was one of the first like healing workshops I ever did. I was in New York City in like 2002, and I took this thing called Acting Success Now.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize at the time that I thought it was like a coaching class for acting. But I was like into Reiki and stuff, and the next thing I know, I realized it was about law of attraction, and it was about manifesting and the Sedona method, and they had all these different like key things of working that into your
Hmm.
small business as an actress. And they did this thing where they rolled in a TV, and I pressed play, and they said, "We want you to watch the ball being tossed in the room. So count how many times the ball is tossed from person to person." I was like, "Okay." So I watch it, and then they stopped it, and they said, "Did everyone count?" And we're all like, "Yeah." And I think my number was like, 26 or whatever. And then they go, "Okay, now watch it again to make sure you got that number right." And we were like, "Okay." So we watched again, and I was like, "Yep, I got it right." You know, in the background, a couple people kind of, and then they said, "Okay, now watch it again. Now that you're confident that you have your number, but don't watch the ball, just watch the room." And in the video of the people throwing a ball back and forth, a guy in a gorilla suit walked into the middle of the circle, did a dance, and left. And I watched it twice and did not see the gorilla.
Wow.
And so it's always one of those things, like when I get super hyper focused,
Mm.
I try to remind myself, it's like, where's the gorilla? Like, because like, especially like with like career and work and money and abundance, I'm hyper focused and I've got, I'm a Taurus rising, right? So like I've got my budget, I've got my Excel sheet. I'm like, I feel good when my bills are paid. When my bills are paid, I'm like a meltdown.
Mm.
But that being said, I'm often missing the gorilla in the room.
Mm.
And so I try to remind myself to step back because the universe has different plans, it has different activities, and what opportunities are we missing because we're so focused on following the right track.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so that for me is that's a mantra for me when I start to get really hyper focused and I start to not see any way out. I will ask myself, where's the gorilla?
Oh, brilliant. I love that.
I, and it was so funny because you could hear people kind of laughing as they watched it more, but I was just like so focused, so focused. And that's a good and in terms of abundance, like when she had us doing the counting exercise, I've been doing that for years, and I think I picked it up from Artist Way a while ago, and
Mm.
I forgot about it. I've got tons of journals where I just keep track of what I spend for the day.
Mm.
And it's like, and that's in addition to the Excel spreadsheets and things like that, because because my husband has his money, but I try to figure out like, I also keep like a gratitude journal, like in that journal where I also track free stuff because I consider that as like a
Mm.
gratitude journal
Yeah.
in terms of like, oh, I got a free donut at work today. That would be worth $1.82. So,
Mm-hmm.
the universe gave me $1.82, or my boss bought me a chai latte, or, like I try to keep
Mm-hmm.
that in mind in terms of like gratitude, in terms of receiving as well. Um, but this week was a good week for me. I have to share my story. I told you, Michelle, earlier. I'm going to share it with the group. So about my day today, my artist way day. So I have been sick if you've been watching the replays, you've been noticing it. I am feeling better. I'm on more pharmaceuticals than my body's been on in probably a decade. um, but I tried to go to work today because I'm feeling better. And I got all dressed and I couldn't handle it. Like I was like shaky because of the medicine and I was clumsy and I was out of breath just putting on my clothes. I'm like, this isn't gonna work for me. So I called out, and then I have my dog, and I was like, I'm gonna take my dog for just a small walk because I really need to get outside. I need to get some fresh air. So there's this path by my house. It's called Rails to Trails. And um, there's a little tiny, like, there's a path, there's the trail, and then there's a little tiny path called Children's Woods, which is literally just a loop. It goes boop, boop, and right back down to the path. It's like maybe a mile. It's nothing. And my dog loves it because I can take her off leash in the woods and it's just us. And so today I was like, I think I'm going to do the Children's Woods today. I feel like I want to I'm going to go do that. And I'm going to go home and take a nap. But that'll be good. So the dog kind of leads the way, and there's a little stone circle that's there that I love. I go there to meditate. It felt good to be there. I was like, oh, this is a nice artist date. This is me just kind of being outside. And I caught my breath because it'd been a long walk, which my body isn't used to. And we get back on the path, we start walking back, and all of a sudden I'm walking, I'm like, things are looking a little different. Like, and I haven't done this walk since like during the summer because the winter I took off. So I haven't done this walk in a while. But the trail is so easy and I've done it a million times. And I'm walking and I see this really pretty stream. And I'm like, I stop and I'm like, this is beautiful. And I'm watching it, and there's like three little rocks that go over the stream, and I'm like, and then I look around, there's fairies everywhere in the woods, and I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. And I'm stopping and I'm enjoying the moment. And And I kind of knew at that moment, I'm like, I'm lost, but okay, I'm curious. So I cross the path and I keep walking, and it's just this really, really long, straight path. And then the next thing I know, I'm like on a street, and it says like, Children's Woods and Cary. And I'm looking at it. And so I pull out my phone and I do maps and I figure out, and I'm like, it's in my town. There's like Jaffrey and East Jaffrey, and there's different parts of it. And so I'm like, I'm in a completely separate part of this town that I never ever go to. And I'm like, I think my friend Minta lives somewhere around here. And so I called her and I'm like, do you think you could bring me back to my car? And I got lost and with my dog. She said, sure. So she picks me up and then she's like, would your dog be okay coming into my house? And I was like, yeah, we have cats. That should be fine. So we come in, she makes me a cup of tea. um we start talking, and she's a tarot reader. That's how we met at psychic fairs. And so um she does a tarot reading for me, and we're just having this lovely day of tea. And then this woman calls her from Maine to set up a booth for a psychic fair, and then I get invited because I'm there for the conversation. And then so that's in May, and it was just like one of those magical days. And so then she brought me home, and I got home and I slept until pretty much right before the Zoom because it was such an exhausting day for me. But it was in terms of like the artist way, how that path led me to an abundance. Like I haven't done, I was telling Michelle, I was in this group called, probably shouldn't say it. I was in this group, and it was like a spiritualist church, and it fell apart, and it was messy, and it was emotional, and I think I'm still wounded from it, and I hadn't even realized that until today. And um it was just a beautiful kind of reminder of like doing psychic fairs and kind of connecting with that spiritual community again. And I have like a vacation plan. She's like, "Oh, I bought a hotel room." She's like, "You can crash there with me. I'll drive." She's got like a little fancy convertible. I don't know even know what, but it was her midlife crisis car. She's like, "I'm driving the RAV or whatever it is." And I was like, "Okay." And so I'm gonna have like a whole like girls' day, which I think I was saying last week, wasn't it? That I wanted community and connection and friendship, and then here we go. That's isn't that funny? So this was my first real like synchronicity, like I've had little ones here and there, but I'd say this one was like there was all the magic and all the fairies and all the stuff, all the good feels coming up. So yeah, that was kind of fun. Now I did the tasks and things like that for this week. I didn't do too many of the tasks. I did um I actually really like money. Like I like money. I don't, like I've done this before. I've worked through the money blocks. Like you know, I don't think people with money are bad. I'm like a good, I cheer everybody on. I'm trying to, and I was reading it and I was looking back and I was like, I like money. I was like, I don't think money and I have a problem. Like, but I am definitely, this week has definitely shown me, especially being sick for the last 3 weeks, like all the reasons why I don't really want to go back to my daytime job. And so this week, this week especially, I've been applying for a lot of more jobs online. I'm trying to like visualize what I actually want. Um, I realize that I think that because I've got the trap of flexibility with my part-time job,
Mhm.
but the trap of flexibility is preventing me from having more money for doing vacations and things like that. So, and my kids are, my husband can pick them up. Like we can make this work. It's like I feel like now is a good time for me to be start looking for work. So I actually applied for 2 or 3 jobs this week. So in terms of the abundance and things like that, like I kind of realized like I like money, money likes me, there's no problem there, but I do need to put myself in a position where I can earn that money and do that. And I need to know what I want, right? So in terms of the manifestation, I've been, really kind of crafting like, well, what would be the right job for me?
Mm.
And I know a lot of the things that I don't want it to be because of the job that I have now. But I also love some aspects of my job very, very, very much. So it's kind of like weaving, right? It's kind of like
Mhm.
taking the things that we want and the things that we don't want and kind of, creating that and kind of putting that out there. So I've applied for 2 jobs this week, which and I felt good. Like it was kind of fun. It was fun to be like the possibility of new things and new adventures and being able to put myself out there in a different way. And it that's very much so in alignment with recovering a sense of abundance, because a lot of times our lack of abundance is usually connected to our lack of creativity in what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said, Michelle, that you had a really good week where you had new clients kind of pop up for you, right?
Yep.
Yep.
That's just funny. I didn't even really look at it from that angle until you mentioned like how, we were weaving in abundance this week. I'm like, oh my goodness. So we have.
No, we have.
Look
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And that's the, like, that's just the magic of the universe, though, is like intention, not perfection. I have done the morning pages. I haven't done all the tasks, haven't been perfect, right? But the intention is there for me, and it's the same for you. It's like when we put the intention in the universe, okay, this is recovering a sense of abundance. The universe goes, oh, so you're looking at that now. All right, so how
Mm.
can I had this amazing dream. Oh, I had this amazing dream. So I'm one of my first tarot decks, and this is and it's interesting that it's all connected to psychic readings. I didn't even realize that again to now. I have this medicine woman tarot deck it was my first deck I got when I was 15. And
Mm.
it's like a Native American journey. So instead of like the fool, it's the seed. And they talk about it from like the Native American wisdom as a medicine woman and healer. And I've always connected, and that's the deck that I've just used my whole life. And I lost the book that went along with it. And it was been in my Amazon gift cart for years, at like 3 years, when I lost the book after the house fire. And so I was like, this, I bought it. I was like, why not? Whatever. I bought some pink flamingos for my yard and, a couple books. And I started with the very first card, which is the seed. And there's a whole guided meditation that goes along with it. And that's the reason why I wanted the guidebook. I was like, I wanted to kind of go back and, re-journey with that,
Mhm.
that deck again. And um, one of the things in the seed is talking about a map of consciousness and kind of creating your own, like, and I sat there and I did, and I created this, because I do shamanic journeying, and I do, the tree of life with the upper and the lower. And so I created this like map of my
Mm.
spiritual garden, like my meditation place. And I have my little lake house that I go to, and then I do my birch bark canoe, and then I have my guide's house, and then I have my my Archangel Mother Mary guides. And so I made a beautiful map, and I was like, that was kind of more in the mornings. I was kind of doodling that, kind of creating that. And I went to bed one night and I meditated, and I called on the guide of that card. And so he came to me. It was very interesting, and we had this beautiful journey. And then in the morning, I woke up and I was singing a song. I've never done that. I've never, and I like recorded it, and I wrote it down. And the chorus of the song was, show me the life, show me the light, and show me the way.
Mm.
And it was, and I was, and I've been singing it like almost kind of nonstop, in terms of, you know, this song that's kind of moving through me. I've never had a song move through me before. This is completely new. And so um and so it was just an interesting little thing. Hello, Michelle. Thanks for coming. We were just talking about our dreams and our connections and our synchronicities. She's got logging in there now.
Hello, sorry.
Sorry, why are you sorry?
I couldn't find I couldn't find a video thing. How's everybody? Good?
Yeah. How was your week?
All right, I'm here.
Yeah. Did you have any signs of recovering a sense of abundance?
This week, I did not do anything,
It's okay.
but I'm here.
Yes, that's right.
And
That's the community. That's why we're here for each other.
yeah, and I missed about 3 or 4 days of journaling, and then I got back to that yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm just traveling and, doing all that good stuff. And here I am.
Well, the intention is here. We are all kind of are feeling it this week. We're like we were there, but not 100% there.
Mhm.
But I actually shared before, Michelle, I had like my moment of synchronicity this today. I ended up getting lost on a walk in the woods and ended up at a friend's house for tea and got invited to a psychic fair. I mean, it was it was a fun little day of synchronicities and fairies and connections. And so I'm still not feeling 100%, but like Michelle's actually, we were talking the other day and she was like, do you think this is the artist way? And I'm like, I don't know. No, but I think maybe it all might be connected.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
She was in denial.
yeah, well, we're always the last to see it.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
Uh-huh. She was in the total denial. And I was like,
Well, and actually, in terms of like more self-healing, um, so I started seeing a talk therapist today. It was my first session, and it's been a long time since I've talked to someone, but it was like I was it's been on my list to do for a while. I'm moving through the phases of grief. And it was interesting. I talked to this lady for in less than an hour, and she was like, your mom wasn't really nice, right? And I was like,
Mm,
no, she wasn't.
mm,
I mean, if it's the way it is, it's the way it is. And that's the
And I was like,
reality of it.
"Oh." And then, I was kind of talking. I was like, since my mom passed, I'm having a really hard time regulating my emotions. And she was like, well, it sounds like you had to regulate all of your emotions as a child. And she's like, and now that your mom's gone, she's like, I think these are all like little temper tantrums that you were never allowed to have as a child. And I was like, thank you for that insight. That is huge. And she told me like my homework was, trying to trace back and it like allowing myself, instead of being like upset or frustrated with myself for getting upset, she's like, you need to be upset. She's like, you need to have some temper tantrums and that's okay. And I was like, ooh. And so it was, there is a lot of healing that's happening during this whole artist way journey. Like I've been talking about trying to see someone for a while, but also because I am a spiritual person, like I called some people and talked to them. And there was this one woman, I was like, ew, ew, oh my God. She literally like was like, well, I need to know how to classify you and I was like, and I was like, she was just like everything that would have been wrong with talk therapy.
mm,
And I was like, no. So I put that on the back burner. And then I got in touch with this woman and she was like a hypnotist and she just like she met me exactly where I was. And the other one was trying to meet me like down here. And I was like, and so it was nice to actually talk on the phone with her today because it felt like, you know, you know, when you talk to like mulligans, right? Like muggles, you know, Harry feels like in the Harry Potter world, like whenever I try to talk to people that are not in the spiritual community, like they completely glaze over when I start talking. They don't understand. And she was like right there, and I was like, we can do this. Let's book it. And so today was actually my first time talking with her. And within an hour, she was like, yeah, your mom wasn't very nice. And I was like, ooh. Oh, it was a big insight. It was really big. So
But she's giving that from your perspective of what you were telling her, though, too.
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's
Are you
that
trying to
little,
gaslight me, Michelle?
no, not at all.
Are you
But
sure?
she also gave you permission, right? To be like, that's okay to process it the way
Yeah.
that you know how,
Right.
or what's
Right.
best for you.
Right.
So it was like you're saying when she was like, oh, you know, you can feel this. You can have your temper tantrums. It's almost like somebody saying, yeah, go for it.
Well, and it's true because, you know, in terms of my childhood, I was definitely the adult in the family, right? I was taking care of my mom and I was trying to keep everything together because I was always afraid she was going to die. And so she was like, and so then once your mom died, she was like, the lid went off. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of true.
Did, did you share with her that the relationship that you have with your mom now is like
Yeah.
amazing?
Yeah. No, and
Amazing.
she was, and like I was talking, I was like, yeah, I was like, well, my dad died when I was 15, but I talk with him all the time in spirit, you know, and I was like, you know, with my mom relationship, she was very on point. It was good because
Right.
she didn't feel like a muggle. She felt like someone, and she did make me feel seen in that she's like, I can tell you've done the work. She's like, you know, and that was good because you know, I'm not there to just talk and rehash things. Like I want tools and I'm gonna use them. And honestly, my life, my are shocked. So Michelle and I both have the same mentor. Um, she's like $300 an hour. So I'm like, I can't afford, I can't afford Shakti right now. I can't. So this is in my insurance. It's covered. It's good. I'm on board. Let's
Right. And
a
it's
little
nice when you can find
reboot
that.
is good, right? But it's
Absolutely.
hard it's hard no matter where you are in life to acknowledge that you need extra support, right?
Mm.
Like and I think that the spiritual community is actually pretty toxic in terms of talking about our, like we have to constantly pretend like we are perfect and we have our shit aligned and we're like absolutely like zen, and like that's not the way it is. Like if you want to work with me, know that I am doing the work for myself, because that's, and I will always do my own work because I'm not in it for the money or the ego. I'm in it for the healing. And I can't tell you how many times, like when you talk to people, especially if they're in the spiritual world, they come up with these things that are just absolutely bullshit. Like I was telling this one woman about my daughter got bit by a dog, and she was like, "Well, what do you think your problem is with dogs?" And I was like, "What?" Like it does feel like there's this like love and light gaslighting that happens,
Absolutely.
like, oh, are you allowed to be raw? Are you allowed to be sad? Are you allowed to be angry? And if you're not, then you're not in alignment. And like, so we all just kind of like, you know, go off the radar, right? To do the
Yep.
healing instead of being more vulnerable. And I'm very much so like, listen, I'm I'm pretty raw. Like my name is Paige. I'm an open book, like whatever. I'm not going to try to pretend I'm something that I'm not. But I see it a lot in the spiritual community. It's like you have to eat right and you have to do, you know, you have to be perfect and you have to be perfectly love and light all the time. But you know, the shadow is really where we do the work, and the
Yep.
shadow is really where we evolve and where we learn. And if we're not doing stuff like the artist way, if we're not doing stuff like you know, reaching out and finding people that we can connect with and talk to, then we're just heads in the sand and we're stagnating. And I'm not in this life to stagnate. I just, you know, I can, but I don't want to.
Mhm.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
funny, you were talking about those little temper tantrums, and I was married and I was in an abusive marriage for 12 years
Mm.
and a cult for 6 years before that. So there was a long
Wow.
time when I was not allowed to process anger. I was not to have anger, let alone process anger. Like, no, you smile and, and when my marriage broke down, finally, one of the hardest, I was like that. I was emoting everywhere. And I'm like, where is all this anger coming from? Until I really, got perspective. I'm like, oh, I don't know how to process anger because I wasn't allowed. And that, when I was able to see that, I was able to give myself the space and the self-compassion to kind of work through
Yeah.
it. And amazingly, I had people around me that, just loved me through it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I can definitely relate to some degree to that feeling. It's like, whoa, like, where
Yeah.
is it all coming from? It's coming from way back when.
Yep. Yeah. And it's funny because in the artist way, like she was talking about recovering a sense of abundance. Her last sentence was, "This week may feel volatile." And I just caught that. And I
Mm,
was like, yeah, this week kind of did feel volatile. Like it brought up, and I feel like I have, my relationship with money. I like money, but also I don't have a lot of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it is volatile. It's this constant, like, looking for different jobs and figuring out, our abundance factor and our alignment and all this stuff. And it's like, it is. I work in a bank, and that's another thing. It's like money is emotional. So when I'm
mm,
dealing with people, unless their transaction goes by perfectly, there's a very big chance at any point for them to get upset and angry for the smallest things. Any kind of misunderstanding, miscommunications. Like if people, I have one of those faces, right? Like my thought, you make me nervous. What?
mhm,
It's like because the spinny wheel is on my computer, and they
mhm.
can kind of see it in my face that I'm so I have to be like, it's
Right.
it's like baby. It's like money is this, it's our baby. It's how we express ourselves in the world. It's how we know and prove to ourselves and others that we're safe. And if we're not safe, then immediately that child of anger or upset, it comes out. And so I'm constantly like, I've got 65 transactions plus in a day. It's one person after another. It's nonstop. I work at one of the busiest branches on the East Coast, and it's like every single transaction has to be treated with care. And that's, for me, is getting exhausting. It's like most of my spiritual leadership and business is kind of going into this role,
Mm,
and I've got to start transitioning. So I was telling um earlier, I've been applying for jobs. I've been just kind of going online and trying to figure out what I want and putting it out there in terms of that recovering a sense of abundance, which is what this whole week was about.
mm,
Next week, moving up to next week. Right, next week is recovering a sense of connection. We turned
mm,
this week to the practice of right attitudes for creativity. The emphasis is on your receptive as well as active skills. The essays, exercises, and tasks aim at excavating areas of genuine creative interest as you connect with your personal dreams, recovering a sense of connection. I had the most amazing dream this week. It was a song. Show me the life, show me the light, show me the way. So that's kind of new. So I'm excited to dream more about that with my
mm,
with my Carlos guide. But I have really this week really been reconnecting to my tarot cards and my psychic fair, and I'm getting synchronicities and signs that that's the right way to go. So even though I'm gonna keep applying for jobs, I feel like that's a yes from the universe. So I'm gonna start following more of my, reconnecting more to my tarot deck that I haven't done in a while, and reconnecting more to the medicine woman archetype, which I think is an archetype that works well for me. Like I love working in medicinal and shamanic energy, so the archetype is always very important, and medicine woman feels like she's calling to me right now. So
mm.
I'm enjoying that. And today was such an interesting day. I mean, I haven't done a psychic fair in probably over a year at this point, and I'm booked and ready for that for May 17th. So I mean, it's fun. It's kind of fun when the universe brings things into your world. It feels good to have those kind of little moments. It feels like you know, life can get boring. I was complaining to Michelle on the phone. I was like, I'm so bored with my life. It's the same thing. You know, like I'm just, and then I get lost in the woods today. And, I was like, that's nice. I'll get lost in the woods more often, metaphorically. So next week we'll meet back, same time, same place for recovering a sense of connection. Did you guys want to add anything or, share anything before we log off?
Just thank you. I appreciate the space so much, and I really
Oh,
appreciate your coming here, even being not at your best physically. I really appreciate you holding space for us.
thank you. And I appreciate it too. Like I need community like this. So, you know, we're building it, right? We find each other, we support each other. Um, and the connection, this artist way has been recovered. The whole thing journey, I think, has been recovering a sense of connection for me. So, because, I tend to be very insular in my little world. And so it's nice to kind of open it out and kind of walk the journey with other people. Makes it feel more anchored when you can have that support system and that connection. And community really is connection, whether it's online or in person. That's what we're all seeking right now. We're seeking, especially COVID messed us all up. I mean, the lack of community and connection really kind of brought us online, and now we're learning how to weave the online and the in-person connections. And like I'm doing a full moon Zoom tomorrow night, and then another full moon on like a Zoom on Saturday night. So it's like that weaving these connections and how we communicate with each other, because it is kind of cool that we can be all over the world and put on a Zoom and sit in our living rooms, and I don't have to drive anywhere. If I was driving somewhere, this would have been done 3 weeks ago, right? Like I don't feel good. I was not going anywhere, but I can show up in my pajamas with my raspy voice and be like, this is who I am. This is where we are. So there is some perks. All right. Well, let me just do a little blessing for everyone that's here and on the replay. Just want to thank you all so much for being here and for anchoring in this artist way journey. We are now officially more than halfway through the 12-week journey, and it has been a journey, and it will continue to be part of our spiritual path as we use the tools that we have when we can, but also the greatest and most important aspect is just setting that intention. So we're just thanking abundance for coming into us this week and for connecting to us and for continuing to connect with us in our own personal lives, finding clients and connections and new opportunities for the universe to just shower us with love and abundance and prosperity and joy and grace and ease. And then also allowing ourselves to feel loved and supported through the shadow aspects of the emotional energies and the things that pop up along our healing journeys, and allowing us to really face our shadows and come out like the phoenix rising from the ash, just allowing ourselves to really be evolving and moving and growing in each and every day. And we just thank our guides for supporting us along this journey. We're supporting our sisters who are here on the Zoom today, and also those that are watching in replay, as we create a community and a safe haven for evolving and for the courage to stand up and to become new, to plant the seed of an idea for our future, and knowing that we are worthy of more, that we are worthy of happiness and connection and abundance. And next week, we just ask that our guides continue to support us through recovering a sense of connection and really allowing ourselves to find that divine spark and that divine connection in our life in all ways, always, and allowing ourselves to really grow through this journey, reconnecting to our inner artist and really allowing ourselves to set the intention for our spiritual wellness, health, and growth in all ways. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Aho, amen. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Good night.
Good night. See you next week.